Hello, my name's Alex Dyer. Thank you for attending my proposal for the Belgrade Lakes Watershed Water Quality Protection Plan. Today we're going to start off with a little story about a lake that is not located in Maine, but is kind of a cautionary tale for what I'm going to talk about today. So in the summer of 2019, so not too long ago, Lake Erie, one of the Great Lakes, suffered from its biggest toxic algae bloom to date. These algae blooms are the result of fertilizer runoff and excess of nutrients that produce a blue-green algae that's visible from satellites, as you can see from this image to the right. These algae blooms have a dominant organism that is called cyanobacteria, which produces the toxin microcystin. This toxin is harmful to wildlife as well as humans and their pets, and it can also result in liver damage, numbness of the limbs, dizziness, and even vomiting. These toxins were determined to be so high that the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration delivered warnings against humans and pets from even coming close to the water. Without contact and use of the lake, locations like Maumee Bay loses out on tourist revenue, and this is a small effect in relation to the total effect on the agricultural sector, fisheries, water treatment plants, the tourism industry, recreational services, and real estate prices in waterfront areas around Lake Erie. To make matters worse, this algae bloom is a yearly occurrence and would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to treat chemically every year given the size of the lake. Now, this is something that I would like to avoid in the Belgrade Lakes region. So what I would propose is every summer, the Seven Lakes Alliance, which is a local environmental nonprofit, they already hire a team called the Milfoil Crew, whose sole purpose is to drive the diver-assisted suction harvesting boat, also known as the Dash, to survey the entire shoreline of both Long Pond and Great Pond for invasive aquatic plants. My proposal includes adding one more to the team with the purpose of surveying shorelines for lake smart practices and assessing the potentials for erosion and runoff that could lead to algae blooms and environmental damage, as well as property damage. Using the lake's properties databases as well as ArcGIS map features, this employee can make specific suggestions to homeowners based on what they find to be strengths and weaknesses in the shoreline property. From there, local environmental nonprofits can partner with contractors and conservation corps to pinpoint the greatest areas of need and work on them to improve shoreline quality and help protect the overall water quality of the lakes. Now, prevention is almost always cheaper than treatment, and especially so in this case. Maintaining healthy waterways in the Belgrade Lakes watershed, especially around Great Pond and Long Pond circled on the map, will protect the investments of many community members, including business owners, those who rely on tourism, homeowners, and those who vacation here yearly or even just visit for the weekend. With the right plan, organizations such as the Seven Lakes Alliance, Colby College Youth Conservation Corps, and other environmental nonprofits and committees that already have a commitment to these water bodies can implement a stronger force to see better shoreline stewardship in the area. A few properties and businesses being irresponsible and potentially uneducated is all it takes to ruin the quality of the lakes for all and for years to come. The focus of these initiatives will be on the presence of necessary erosion prevention systems, such as riprap, which is a rock barrier on the shoreline to reduce wave impact, thus decreasing erosion. This initiative will also focus on the education and disuse of fertilizers and the increase of native barriers to nutrient runoff, such as rain gardens, trees, and shrubs. This initiative will work to save money on all fronts, including for businesses and stakeholders, as well as environmental organizations down the road, with the goal to not have to invest in expensive yearly chemicals to be able to utilize the lakes. Homeowners already pay a pretty penny for the cost of a lakefront home or cottage, and protecting the water quality protects that investment for years in the future. Our tourism industry relies heavily on fishing, vacationing, return visitors, cabin rentals, and all kinds of summertime fun on the water, and an algae bloom would put an end to all of those things. Because this area is so tied to summer tourism, our economy by default relies on the health of the lakes as well. Protecting the water quality protects those beautiful blue waters we all love and the habitats of the great pond loons and herons. Swimming in algae-free water is not only fun, but safe. And lastly, this area has a rich history of relying on the water, with our water-powered mills in the 1800s and the tourism industry starting in the years after the Civil War, with the lakes in the village offering a quiet respite from busy towns and cities. The timeline for this plan is until 2025, starting this summer, where the Seven Lakes Alliance can build an initial assessment of lakefront properties using the dashboat. From there, property owners will have a personalized list of possible adaptations and projects to help their property become lake smart, including riprap, rain gardens, benthic barriers, plant buffers, etc. In the fall, a public meeting can be held where stakeholders can ask pertinent questions, get an update on current water quality, and connect with local contractors to work on their properties. Yearly water quality testing will continue with the partnership of Colby College, which will help provide a standard metric to see if water quality is indeed improving year to year, with the hopes of general improvement by 2025. From there, progress can be assessed and changes can be made as needed based on what works well and what didn't. The value of the Water Quality Protection Plan over time will be shown as climate change is accelerating the issue. So the Water Quality Protection Plan is necessary sooner rather than later, as every year climate change increases the proliferation and presence of cyanobacteria and other forms of toxic algae, and preventative measures need to be taken before the shoreline is damaged beyond repair. Again, noting that prevention is cheaper than treatment, it is in all stakeholders' interest to invest now in the protection of the lakes for the next generations, as well as for the sake of any and all property investments on the water. The Belgrade Lakes region is also host to a rich history of Maine, which is shown in the presence of protected historical buildings and artifacts thanks to the Belgrade Historical Society, and the least we can do is protect the water and environment as well. Finally, leading the state in this water quality protection plan will only benefit the Maine and New England region and the water bodies as well. This image to the right here is of a Secchi disc measurement, which is a basic measurement of water quality. As you can see, a disc with black and white pattern is dropped in the water from a boat, and essentially you lower it down into the water until you cannot see the pattern anymore, and this is your Secchi disc measurement. Large Secchi disc measurements mean that the water is very clear. You can see very far down into the water. The worse the pollution is, or the worse the water quality, the lower the Secchi disc measurement will be. And here we have a chart of Secchi disc measurements over the last 40 years in the Maine lakes. And in general, there has not been much improvement or degradation that's been trending, and we would love to see a trending improvement in Secchi disc measurements. Thank you for listening to my proposal for a water quality protection program in the Belgrade Lakes region. And let me know if you have any questions.